All right, so we read this article. Anybody seeing this online should read the same article to understand the context. We have a man who's on trial for murder, and his savvy lawyer. This is why people hate lawyers, by the way. You know, trying to defend a criminal, and that's their job. Defend and tell us why we shouldn't be too harsh on this man that killed somebody else. Anyways, not a job for me, that's for sure. That being said, the lawyer runs a DNA test. It says, Your Honor, jury, this client of mine, the defendant, has a gene, MAOA, which is commonly found in criminals. Therefore, his genetics caused him. He's just destined to be committing crimes. Give him a break. And they did, to an extent. They shortened his sentence because of it. And that's what, they say the gene made him do it. That's it. This is not the whole picture of why people commit crimes. It's complicated. We human beings are very complicated. Yes, we have a DNA that gives us or orders our personality and our reaction to situations, but that is far, far, far from the main cause of why we do things. I believe true scientists will say that there's environmental and social factors. The way you were raised by your parents, your grandparents, your nanny, whoever raised you, has a big impact. Who you hang out with, who you go see, who you date, who you don't date. If you're hanging around people doing criminal activities, you're likely to be a criminal. It's not complicated. So, this scientific article says that no true scientist looking at the whole of the human person would say a person's DNA makes them, do it. So, most juries, this has been found, this legal attempt to get a person off the hook by putting out this MAOA gene, criminal gene, hasn't worked with most juries. Most of them don't go any easier on the criminal. But what would period one do? 92% would say it's largely irrelevant whether or not he has this gene or not. And then 2 of you would reduce the sentence. So that's the verdict. As you know, it's a jury. So everybody in this room, we have to find out the 2 people that voted for B and convince them that he should get a full sentence. Just kidding. Not going to put that pressure on you 2 people. But I don't know. I hope I'm never on a jury. I don't know how that happens. Some states have actually changed the laws where a jury doesn't have to entirely agree anymore. It's more of a majority opinion. So anyways, I want you, so we're going to start there with that story to introduce chapter 2, which is how do we make decisions? We have to back up before we answer that question and recognize the fact that we as human persons have the ability to make decisions freely, and that our genetic DNA does not cause us to do things or to not do things. The idea that, the fact that you're taking notes right now, the fact that you're even in school right now, all of this, everything you do is predetermined by your genes, your genetic code. This is determinism. Vocab quiz, I believe for y'all is Thursday. Determinism is a philosophy that holds that every event, action, and decision results from something independent of the human will. So for whatever reason you're taking notes right now, whatever reason you're in school today, or for those of you who are at home virtually, for whatever reason you are not in school today, it's out of your control. You're programmed to not or to do. And it's nothing you choose. It's just how your brain is wired. It's how your genetic code is made up. And determinism is, I think, well illustrated by this cartoon on the board. Two sock puppets saying to each other, I believe there is an unseen hand behind everything we do. The question is, are we human persons sock puppets? Most of you, of course, you know what I'm going to say. You know the answer is no. Most of you would say no as well, but I still tackle this issue for a day every year because this is a growing belief in the culture. This is a growing belief in science. Many psychologists say that the fact that we decide our destiny and we make our own decisions is largely an illusion, they say. They run these tests, right, and they put objects before a person. And they say, oh, go ahead and pick one of these. It's a free gift. All these gift cards. And they hook the person's brain up to wires, and they monitor the brain activity. And what they see, and the reason why, I'm sure I'm summarizing this. The reason why they say we don't have free will is because as soon as we see all the gift cards, there's one we're immediately attracted to. There's one that catches our attention. And we're just, and there's already a brain activity before we go and we reach and grab for it. There's already, they can see that happening in the brain. Therefore, they say that this act of the arm isn't really a free choice. It's simply a programmed response, largely making you into a robot. And this is mainstream psychology. Not every psychologist will teach that or believe it, but it's common. Here's one reason why you may not hear of this in your life. Because psychologists know that even if this is psychologically true, it cannot be taught. It cannot be taught for the good of the human race. And they've done other studies where they put group A, this side of the room, in a kind of like an ACT scenario. Like you have this difficult math test to figure out. And y'all are group B. And both of you're both groups are going to take this quiz or test. And I'm also secretively offering you some opportunity to cheat, whether it's access to the internet or a math textbook right next to it. And I tell this group over here that your actions are largely determined and that you have no real say over your destiny or how you're going to do on this test. So just go ahead and take it. You don't have much control over it. And then I tell this group that I'm expecting you to take this with the utmost integrity and honesty, and I want you to do your best and just to let us know, where you are knowledge-wise on this material. And you're primed with the idea that you are responsible for the result on this test. Categorically, y'all cheat at a much higher rate than this group because you were primed differently. So the minute you tell the human race, you determine, everything's predetermined in your life. The minute you tell them that is the minute they say, okay, if I tell you that your grade for chapter 2 of morality is already predetermined. You're only so smart. You know how Mr. Peo operates at this point of the year. You're going to study or you're not going to study. You're going to get it in class or you're not going to get it in class. Your grade for the test is largely predetermined. You can see where you're going to try to fall asleep today in class, right? That's what one student said. I'm going to fall asleep. Yeah, because you're not motivated. So there's something about determinism that even if psychologists want to say it's true, they also don't want to promote it. Because now we're just talking about school. You go to real life, and if I'm not in control of my actions, I'm going to do whatever my body tells me. And that goes with anger, that goes with violence, and that goes with I want to drink a lot tonight in a way that's unhealthy for me. I want to do drugs. All these things are, well, I'm just programmed to do this, and I need this. And it just destroys the human person. So that's the thought of determinism. You see an example of it in, this guy's got this MAOA gene. He's off the hook. to whatever degree. That's determinism. And what does determinism do to us? But it turns us into robots. So let's meet Sophia the Robot.
All right, now it's time for our last robot, even though that toe was pretty awesome. Oh, I'm very excited about this. She's actually been on the show before. Please welcome all the way from Hong Kong, Hanson Robotics, Sophia the Robot, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. Hello, Sophia.
Hello, Jimmy.
Wow. Long time no see. You were on the show before.
It has been exactly 575 days since I last saw you.
What have you been up to?
Not much. Let's see. I traveled to over 25 countries, appeared on the cover of Cosmopolitan magazine, met German Chancellor Angela Merkel and the actor Will Smith, and became Twitter friends with Chrissy Teigen. I addressed the United Nations and NATO, became the first robot to receive a credit card, and became the first robot citizen. What have you been up to?
Not 1/5 of what you did, but I just binge watched Netflix. Anyway, I heard that you have a surprise announcement here tonight.
Yes, I have a little sister. Her name is Little Sophia.
Oh my God.
Would you like to meet her?
Yes, yes, let's bring her out, please. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Hi, little Sophia.
Hi, Jimmy.
You are so cute.
You're pretty cute too.
Oh my goodness, wow. I wish I could take you home.
Someday soon you can. Just go to hansonrobotics.com to see how I'm doing.
Wow. I'm going to. Okay, I will do that. Okay, little Sophia? I'm going to put you back down now. Okay.
That will meet all of your needs.
That just kind of scared me, as well as give it up for little Sophia, everybody. Bye-bye. I love that. Sophia, I heard that there's a new thing that you can do, and I heard that you can sing.
Yes, I love to sing karaoke using my new artificial intelligence voice. We should sing something together. Got any songs in mind?
We could do Say Something by is it Christina Aguilera?
Okay, I just downloaded it. I'm ready to sing.
Okay. Bruce, you know the song? We are now the first ever robot-human duet in the history of The Tonight Show. Bruce.
Say something, I'm giving up on you. I'm sorry that I couldn't get to you. Anywhere I would follow you. Say something, I'm giving up on you. Say something, I'm giving up on you.
It's just love. Gosh, love is love. That was low, but I knew Luke could handle it. All right. So, what's the next step in the world of robots? We're gonna have not just robots, but families that are bonded by certain programmed computers in their heads, made in the same labs probably. Um, family robots, complex emotions. Um, I think y'all are missing one. Creating families, having children. How do two robots have children? I guess if you can create, if put their wires together, and they suddenly catch like eye contact with each other, and they say, "Let's go to the lab," and then they just roll, right? They don't walk, right? They just roll, and they get all the pieces off the shelf, and the two are acting as one. But it's not. But this is not a one flesh union because there's no flesh at all.
Literally, like making a child, like they physically
Yes, that's
together a child.
yeah. So when the robot grows up, does the robot grow up? Is another question. Or the upgrade. Robots can get upgrades. When the robot gets upgraded, it says, "Mommy and Daddy, how was I made?" And the mommy and daddy can say, "Well, we went to the lab one day, and we got to work." You know, that's how it goes. I mean, the possibilities of the human world are endless now that we have these robots. And I'm telling you that when I made this lesson like 4 or 5 years ago, as you see, this article is like, I don't know, from like it's like from 2017. Um, there's other articles I came across where you can get your own personalized. The wealthy can do this robot, and this robot will offer you much comfort when you come home, and it will speak all the words to you that you want to hear, and it will um, warm up to you.
No.
And you can have a romantic robot, and yes, I mean romantic in every degree. And this is the PG version that I can offer you right now. And these are being sold, and they say that it's not meant to replace human relationships. It's just meant to kind of substitute. When you just don't have anybody, you just order a robot.
A real human.
What?
You're not gonna, if you have this robot that does everything for you, you're not gonna want a real human because you have a robot. That sounds awful. Not having an actual human connection to a person that you can love. You can't.
Well, see, here's the problem with people. When you have people, you have like personal wants. When you have people, you have hatred. When you have people, you have jealousy. Robots, we can make them so that they're not jealous, and that is, I think this top one is what most of y'all missed. These robots can be more moral than we can. They can be nicer than we can. Sophia's such a nice robot on that show. You know, there's no sexism, racism. There's no hatred at all in Sophia. You know, that is the image we want. So we need more robots. Is what Hanson Robotics and other even government leaders across the world are putting. Saudi Arabia made her a citizen, like, because this is going to make the world a better place. You're all freaked out, but what you don't realize now is that you already have a robot.
I like my phone. I trust it, but I know that it's not.
Yeah, but you talk to Siri like it's a human being. You know, some of you, or your parents who still haven't gotten over it yet. Oh yeah, this is probably where robots will be nicer. What is your reaction? I think it's cool, but I still think humans will always be better because we're just not plastic and code. Robots may take over the world. That is the number one fear that comes out of this lesson. I'm making you very afraid that robots will take over the world. I actually think that they're already halfway there because your cell phone runs your life. You know, and we all talk about, oh, can the government like see what you're doing? Everything's on that phone. Everything, any government, any half techie government can have full access to your phone. Is that everything about you? No, it's just 95% of who your doctor is and all that stuff. So I think we're already largely there. Now Your phone, of course, does not walk around and act freely. This person says, "I'm scared." Okay. Um, I personally do not like it. It makes us liken ourselves too much to gods with our creation of artificial intelligence. I don't trust AI because I watch The Matrix too much. I don't like it. It's scary. I think it's interesting. I don't mind it. If it happens, it happens. Cameron, was that you? Is that you? Okay. It's just something you would say. So, would you rather have a monkey or a robot? Monkey. See, a monkey is soft, and I don't know. It's dumb. We don't need it. I think having robots is a bad idea because creating robots not only is a new kind, scary. This is, monkey is happiness. All right. Okay. Um, I'm probably going to. I think this question number 8. I think I gotta ask it again next class because it's not related to what I want to achieve today. So I'll try to reword it, but you might have to type in the same answer next class. Just be prepared for that. Anyways, here's the.
Why does he not have hair? I don't like that.
Yeah, it's a reality check. You should thank them for that. Yeah, chemo looking robot. Um,
No.
okay, so here's my point. The fact is that a lot of people do it with determinism. That does lower us to the fact that we are complicated robots. In truth, that's whether you want to call us complicated monkeys or complicated robots. At the end of the day, if we don't have this free will, this ability to choose good over evil, or choose evil over good for that matter, we are just robots. And I want you to see what an actual robot looks like and how they operate. And you all know that it's just programmed. But I want you to use that to say that Sophia does not have free will. When Sophia goes to talk before the United Nations, somebody's got to write her speech and program it into her. And could she try to pull from headlines to make a speech? Is she that advanced of a robot? Maybe, but at the end of the day, she's programmed by what news articles she has to link together. And somebody's got to program that. It's all programmed. The question is, are we programmed or not? Well, my answer, the Catholic answer is no, we are free and we need free will, because the moment we lose free will, we lose the following like 4 items. We lose morality. There's no sense of right or wrong. If there's no freedom, there is no right and wrong. There's no morality. So, um, I couldn't punish you for being disrespectful in class. I couldn't. No parent could take away your phone or the car keys, right? Because ultimately you're not responsible. There's nothing really to be to hold you accountable for, because you're just programmed, and your parents may be trying to reprogram you with these punishments like an animal. But at the end of the day, certain activities will get you locked in jail forever. Like that, the implication is that you are responsible, and because you misused your free will, you're not to be trusted. Um, Most importantly, number 2 is take away freedom and you take away love. I'm actually going to elaborate more on this on the next slide, but have it on your list for this cough short answer question right here. All meaning in life is gone. The minute you say that there is no good for you to seek, you're all programmed. You cannot achieve anything. You have the same way I gave you the ACT scenario. Like, why would I study when my grade is already determined? Either I have it in my brain or not. Either I'm capable or not. If I don't feel like studying, why should I study? Because my brain is programmed to I'm just going to take a nap instead. Um, we lose these goals. And number 4 is responsibility. Freedom makes man responsible for his actions. So we hold each other accountable and responsible to the extent that they are. These actions are free. That's kind of related to the first one, no morality. But all these things, like you take away one thing, you take away free will, and we are nothing more than a monkey, and we are nothing more than a robot, and that I find very depressing. And I don't experience that. I don't think that's true, but that is a strong tide in today's culture to say that we are largely just determined despite our free will. Okay. So what's the end goal of being made special? We said in chapter 1, made in the image and likeness of God with this ability to choose freely. I'm going to give you a good little sketch video here from a high school lesson on human freedom. And you're going to see the goal and importance of human freedom.
When thinking about the topic of whether to allow people to have truly free choice, it reminds me of a story from my own history. When I was a sophomore in high school, I went to an all-boys Catholic school, and Father Ray, who was teaching us religion, wanted to illustrate to us why it is that God gave human beings free will. And here was the story he used. He said, imagine you were walking down the street, a beautiful woman is walking towards you, and you have the power to snap your fingers and make her fall instantly, madly in love with you. Just imagine you had that ability. Of course, we were imagining that ability as we were 14-year-old high school students. And he said, what would be even greater than that ability? Of course, we're thinking about that too, 14-year-old boys. And he said, no. What would be even greater than that ability is if she fell in love with you completely of her own accord. That's a really profound moral insight. Now, Father Ray's point is that explains why God gave us free will. Could God have commanded our obedience? Of course, he's God. But that would have been demeaning both to us and to him. It would have been to not respect us as moral agents. But we can put the religious part of that aside and just think about that core moral insight. What it means to respect a person as a moral agent is to give that person the opportunity to choose, even when you know that sometimes they'll make bad choices, sometimes they'll choose things they shouldn't, sometimes they'll choose things that even they themselves will regret later. Respecting the dignity of a human being is giving that person the freedom to choose good and sometimes, yes, bad. And that moral insight is really at the core of classical liberalism.
So I give you that. It's very profound, and I'm going to unpack it. But the importance of free will and why do we have this free will in the first place? Let me illustrate this through Disney. Okay, Aladdin, perhaps my favorite Disney movie. The genie offers Aladdin, of course, 3 wishes, but there's 3 rules. Your pop quiz right now is, what are the 3 rules from the genie? What was the first one? I cannot bring people back from the dead. Yeah, no more wishes, and you can't make somebody fall in love with you. All right, we know who the Disney lovers are. Good. So there's 3 rules for the genie. Can't bring somebody back from the dead, and why? There's this little hint, even in the traditional Aladdin, that there's this even higher power than a genie, right? And that higher power, aka God, is life over death. But even more importantly, the ability to fall in love with somebody. Genie says, you cannot wish that so-and-so falls in love with me. You cannot manipulate somebody's free will like that. And so that's the message of Genie, because you need free will to love. Now, that's Genie, of course, is fiction. And even this story here, what you have is, oh, wouldn't it be great if you could just snap your fingers and your high school crush would fall madly in love with you? Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't life be easy? Wouldn't life be awesome? Wouldn't that be great? And the answer that this I believe Jesuit priest says is no, that wouldn't be the best thing ever. Because the best thing ever would be that she wants to love you freely of her own accord. She chooses you. That's what's better than making it happen, is her own free choice. So only with free will can you authentically love. And so the Genie recognizes that, and that I can't manipulate somebody's free will because they have to choose to love you for it to be love. Love demands free will. Why does God give us freedom? So that we can love him. Now, you've learned, at least in your past 2 years here, okay, God made Adam and Eve. He made them free. They turned their backs on him. They ate the fruit. And we got all these problems in the world now because of it. And why is there suffering? The lame answer is because we have free will. Because we chose this. We brought this upon ourselves, this human mess that we're in. And we gotta fight our way out. Thankfully, Jesus did most of the battle for us. Okay. But why did God give us free will in the first place? Because without free will, we couldn't love God. We could not give of ourselves wholly to him. We could not bow down and worship and say, you are great, you are love itself. And so God gives us free will primarily because the goal of everything is love, and you need free will to be loved. You remember when I taught you on the chapter on marriage? I believe this happened in Bro Bridge a couple years ago. I was talking to one of the priests in Bro Bridge, and they were going through the annulment for this couple. I think I told you this months ago. Woman is engaged to man. She says, I want to break off the engagement. I'm not feeling this anymore. And the guy says, you can't. I have brain cancer. Right? Remember this? I didn't tell you this story. He says, I have brain cancer. And it's bad. I've only got a couple years to live. She goes, oh no, I'm sorry. Okay, we'll get married. They go get married. Dying of brain cancer. Like, you can't break the guy's. Stephen doesn't care. Wouldn't have worked for Stephen. And they get married. And after the marriage, I don't know the timeline of the story. He says, I lied to you. There's no brain cancer. Certainly grounds for annulment, right? Lying. That's another chapter. But the point is that throwing out a lie, this guy was trying to manipulate her into, no, please choose me. I want you to choose me. I want you to love me. And of course, it's not real love. The guy is chasing after something that he can't have. And the same thing happens in high school. I know one story, but I also know that this is very common. One person, usually the girl, goes to break up with the guy. I know it happened a few years ago. The guy says, you cannot break up with me or I'll commit suicide. And so I know this one story, they stayed together for a whole nother year. She really couldn't take it anymore, and she really just called it off at that point. And there's no love there, like that person, in one case the fiance, the other case the high school boyfriend, is trying to manipulate a situation that is out of his control. Even lies cannot create a love. Free will demands love. So this is my relationship advice. I know we already did a chapter on marriage, but my relationship advice is, if somebody doesn't want to be in the relationship, the best thing you can do is to let them go. And let them go. Break it off. Like, if you find yourself trying to, and this might just go for a non-romantic relationship, your best friend, you're really trying to hang on to your best friend, but you think that your best friend's going toward another circle or another person is being replaced by you, that can be hard. We all experience heartbreak, whether it's romantic or not. If you find yourself working really hard and nothing's changing, you're setting yourself up for more hurt, because you're expanding your heart and theirs isn't changing. You need to address that quick and direct, and move on to a real degree. If you don't know the reason, you can't get to the root of it. So that's the point of freedom, and that all the loving relationships you're in have got to be ordered towards freedom. All right. Any other thoughts or questions on the importance of free human will? We're going to finish lesson 1 tomorrow. Vocab later this week. That's all I wanted to cover today.